Welcome to Volunteer for Israel's Educates. This is episode number 178, and today we are blessed with a repeat performance from Lieutenant Colonel Shai Schul, and he'll be with us in a moment. We just have one or two announcements. The first one is that we still have room on the advanced, that is a VFI Plus advanced program in May, starting I think it's May 5th, 17 days, including 8 days of touring with Julia in Israel. And if anybody's interested in learning more about that, call me, call Ilana. Second announcement is I was planning to meet up with Pamela on Sunday at the EWR Newark Airport because she's in North Jersey and I'm heading to Brazil. But it turns out her flight misses mine by about 6 hours. So easy come, easy go. Sorry. Third announcement is that we have a guest speaker today. And our guest speaker has substantial experience in the IDF. He is a current IDF Lieutenant Colonel, active duty, and he is providing us with a briefing on his experience as of last week in Turkey as the commander of a search and rescue effort and also the hospital part of that work. And I think he's got some very interesting things to tell us. Before we introduce him again, Alana, do you have anything else?
I do. I just announced it a second ago to a few of the people, but I think it's important that everyone hear this who's here before they leave. The New York Police Department, Intelligence and Counterterrorism Bureau, and the one in Chicago have announced for Jews to be vigilant on Saturday. There is a neo-Nazi and white supremacy group planned Day of Hate, Saturday, February 25th. You're supposed to tell your family, community synagogues, and schools. I can read more after, but it's basically a variety of anti-Semitic, anti-Israel racist groups that are planning on destroying property, handing out flyers, posting on walls, graffiti on Jewish businesses, and things of that nature. If you do see them, you're supposed to not engage with them because they're worried that they will be violent. So I can talk more about it later for anyone who wants, or send an email, but I just want you to be aware and keep your eyes open on Saturday for people who might be causing some problems for the Jewish community.
Great. Thank you, Ilana.
Sure.
I do have an announcement to make. About 10 minutes ago, awaiting the beginning of this session, I just sold my gold car. So, yay. Yeah.
Not as important as what I said, Steve.
And it's not anywhere near as important, but it breaks my heart to sell it because I was not interested in selling it. But my wife was very interested in selling it. Unfortunately, she didn't own it, but nonetheless, it's now sold to a guy in Connecticut. And I don't know what to think. I'm going to start crying soon. So
I knew you didn't want to let it go.
I didn't. That's true. I tried to unsell this guy 10 times a Sunday, but he refused. He said, "I'm buying it." All right. So,
how long
Lieutenant Colonel,
it, Steve? How long did you have the car for?
Well, it's a 1960 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 2 long wheelbase, and I had the car for 22 years. It was a restoration project.
You got 22 years of pleasure. Now let somebody else get 22 years.
That's one way to look at it. Yeah, but it's a teenage daughter.
I want to hear from Shai.
All right, Shai. Okay, until recently, Shai actually was our neighbor here in Pennsylvania. He was assigned to the as a security assistance liaison officer to the U.S. Army at the New Cumberland Army installation near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And he spent, I think, 2 or 3 years here with his family, kids and all. And we've come to know Shai because this is around his third presentation to us since 2020. So without any further ado, Shai, break a leg.
Just let me share my presentation and I will...
Yeah, I'm going to make you an assistant.
Okay.
Did it, thanks.
While I will just say a few words about myself. So just recently I came back from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to Israel, living near Ra'anana. And just recently, actually 1st of February, I retired from the IDF. And now I'm the deputy to the Director General of Asuta Hospital, which is the largest private hospital in Israel. It's a hospital web of few hospitals all over Israel, Beersheba, Jerusalem, Haifa, Tel Aviv, of course. And I'm running the planning and organizational directorate in the hospital. And actually, 1 month after I started to work there, on last Monday, 10 days ago, actually, I was sitting in my my kitchen, drinking coffee with my wife, heard about the earthquake in Turkey. I put passport and a backpack in my car and went to the office. And on my way to the office, I called my boss, the director general of the hospital, and I told him, okay, I'm on the way to my office, but I might find my way to Ben Gurion airport and fly to Turkey because there was an earthquake in Turkey. So it was just recently. I built this presentation, this brief, especially for you, by order of Steve. So thank you for that, Steve. And I'm making orders, so I'm a military guy. If I'm getting an order, I'm okay. I'm executing it. And in the next, let's say 30 minutes, 40 minutes, I will speak with you about bringing an entire hospital back to life. That's what we did in Turkey. You all can see the presentation?
Yeah, but it's not in presentation mode. Like we can see all parts of it.
Good. Now it's good, yeah?
Yeah, but I don't think this is the first. Is this the first?
Yes,
slide?
yes, this is the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So as a beginning, I might say that the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, has a tradition of humanitarian missions all over the world for 70 years now. Few missions on the past, let's say 10 years. And everywhere that there is a disaster or humanitarian need, we are there. So it might be a search and rescue team, like we did in Miami, or it might be both search and rescue and field hospital. And in my hat of reservist service now, I'm the head of operations of the IDF field hospital. So I'm responsible for the IDF field hospital. Last Monday or Monday 10 days ago, 6 February, 4 o'clock in Turkey, there was a huge, massive earthquake, 7.5 magnitude, which is quite high magnitude for an earthquake. The earthquake was felt in 4 countries, in Turkey, in Syria, in Lebanon, and even in Israel. I sat today with one of my colleagues in the office in Asuta, and she told me she lives near Tel Aviv, in a small city near Tel Aviv. She lives on 20th floor, and she really felt the earthquake. Like she woke up, she went out to the stairs of the block, and she really felt the earthquake near Tel Aviv. So it's quite a big earthquake, strong earthquake. Not only that, of 7.8, few hours later, let's say noontime in Turkey, there was another earthquake of 7.4, which is also quite big for an earthquake. So earthquake after earthquake in the same area made a huge impact on the population in this area. And on the left side of the slide, you can see that the damage was quite, the radius of the damage was 400 kilometers from the core of the earthquake. 400 kilometers, it's all of Israel, for example. Almost all of Israel, 600 kilometers from north to south. So it's almost all of Israel. So it wasn't only in one city or in 2 cities, it was in 10 provinces, 10 different provinces in Turkey. On the right side of the slide, my Surgeon General, Professor Leon Glasberg, is the Surgeon General of the IDF, sent me one of the nights. Okay, I am on my way to where you're at. So it's 11 hours drive from Tel Aviv through Damascus to the south part of Turkey. So I sent him back from the south part of Turkey to Istanbul. It's also 11 hours. So Israel is tiny, Turkey is quite big. It affected the way Turkey handled this situation of the disaster, and it was a massive disaster. I will show you in a few minutes. In the first 48 hours, I just want to take you to the area and the environment of a huge earthquake. In the first 48 hours, there were almost 140 earthquakes in the same area. So imagine yourself having a massive earthquake. And then after a few minutes, another one. And after a few minutes, another one. And after a few minutes, another one. Even in the freezing Philly, you will not stay at home. You will go out and you will stay out. That's what happened in Turkey in temperature of, let's say it was 28 Fahrenheit, 25 Fahrenheit at night. They all left the existing houses and went out. And it was also the most powerful, massive earthquake in the past, let's say 100 years. From 100 years, actually. So by taking you to the earthquake zone, so it was very, very, very strong and massive. Thousands of buildings collapsed. These are two photos, but thousands of buildings. On the right side, you can see that house that people like fell out of the living room. And on the left side, there is a building on the standing side, but beneath the building, you can see the rubble. And there were people under the rubble because it was 4 o'clock at night. This short clip, just to feel, it's a huge split in an olive field. You can see the olive field over here, and you can see people standing over here. It was 30 meters deep and 200 meters wide, so it's a new valley. And this is in the north, in the southern part of Turkey, not far from where we were at. So this is a new Jordan Valley in Turkey, if you're thinking of it. In the past 100 years, the most powerful and massive earthquake caused, like in Turkey, almost 35,000 deaths. In the current earthquake, there are now more than, it's written here, 46,000, but this slide is from 2 days ago, and now it's over 50 people that were killed. And you can see here, in front of the mosque, people that were killed in this rubble, in this disaster. Over now it's 100,000 wounded people in this earthquake. And the first few hours were chaotic. Over 13 million people left with no home. And you can see on the left side of the slide, this is the stadium in the center of the city where we were at. We were at the city of Kahramanmaraş, which is the southern part of Turkey. And they built something like it's not a refugee camp, but it's a tent camp for 10,000 people in the same stadium. And they're from all over the area. And there were many fields like that with tents and people in tents that need medications, medical treatment, they need food, they need diapers, they need their medicine that they left back home, they need food, they need warm clothes, they need warm tent, and they need something for the even something for the kids to do. And it was very interesting to see, if you can see between the tents, a little bit of a grass. So I was walking in between the tents, and I saw, kids that are playing and smiling between the tents. And beside them was the right side of the slide, a total disaster. This is a photo from up the same stadium with the tents before the earthquake. And that's how it looked like after the earthquake. And it's not a Photoshop, that's how it looked like. So it was the old city of Kahramanmaraş, buildings of 8 floors, 10 floors, some of them 5 floors, that was totally collapsed. And in this disaster, I show you how big is Turkey compared to Israel. So it's 11 hours drive from Istanbul to the area of the disaster, 2 hours flight. Let's say New Jersey to Florida. So if there is a disaster in Florida, not all the time it impacts on New Jersey. So it's the same was in Turkey. This is the Ministry of Health that conduct a committee, and he made few decisions very fast. The first decision was to send coordination team to the affected area. So each one of the 10 provinces that was affected got a shadow. Let's say there is a governor, got a shadow governor. Let's say there is, for the governor, a minister of health in the same province. He got a shadow for himself that can help him to control the disaster. They sent from Istanbul and Ankara and the western part of Turkey 2,100 ambulances. Compared to Israel, it's something big, because compared to Israel, there are only 1,300 ambulances in Magen David Adom in Israel. So it's something very big. They sent airplanes and helicopters, and they sent 1,900 doctors to the area that was affected, which is also big compared to Israel. And 700 health support personnel. So in total, in the affected area, there was 14,000 people in the medical aspects that was working in the affected area, which is quite big. They did also few more things. They transported 1,500 injured people with air ambulances, helicopters and airplanes. They transported almost 14,000 casualties with land ambulances. 2 hours drive, 3 hours drive, 4 hours drive to provinces out of the disaster area. And they even transport some casualties by ship to other areas, which is good things to do after an earthquake. So when I got into the area after 48 hours, I will speak about it in a minute, I saw many ambulances near every hospital. I saw many medical personnel here in the middle, and I saw in the airport many airplanes and helicopters that are waiting for their next missions. And I came there 48 hours after the earthquake. So imagine the first 48 hours, how busy they were. 6 February, it's Monday, 6 a.m. I'm waking up in Tel Aviv with my lovely wife and 3 kids. One of them is studied in the Technion. He wasn't in home. He was in Haifa. It was 3 hours after the earthquake, drinking my coffee. And I'm getting in my mailing list this email. Every morning, I'm getting an email of all the earthquakes in the world. There is a system. Most of the earthquakes, there are many earthquakes every day. Most of them is like here in the bottom, are green, not affecting anyone. They are too deep to affect anyone, so they are very, very, very deep. And from time to time, there is a orange earthquake or red earthquake. Even if there is a red earthquake, not every time a red means it's very strong. Not every time it's affected a lot of population. So after I'm seeing a red, I'm trying to look on some websites to see if there are casualties. And in the 6 o'clock in Israel, 3 hours after the earthquake, I opened the internet in Israel, and I saw 70, 80, 100 dead people in Turkey. So when I'm seeing that, I'm always thinking that it will probably be horrible. It will be more. So before going to the office, I put a passport and a backpack in the back of the car, and went to my office in Asuta. Usually, I must say we are very quickly. The IDF is very quickly. We were very quickly. We were the first hospital to deploy to Haiti, and Haiti is 15 hours flight from Israel. We were almost the first to be in Nepal after the disaster in Nepal in 2015. So we did the same. We wanted to be the same in Turkey, which is only 2 hours flight. So on my way to the office, I got a phone call from the Surgeon General. He told me, okay, there is something in Turkey. We know it's massive. We don't have an order yet to go, but please come as an assessment team to assess the situation. So usually what we are doing, we are gathering together and we conduct 4 working groups. One is for personnel, one is for medical equipment, one is for logistics, tent, water, food, etc., power, generators, and one is for command, to collect the intelligence, what is happening in the area, what is our goal, when we want to deploy, when we want to departure. So this is things that we are doing even before there is a decision to fly, to depart to the disaster area. And I always say that we need to be ready, and if there is no decision that we have to depart, at least we got a good exercise of how to prepare ourselves to a disaster. It might be in another country, or it might be in Israel. So, but at least we got a good exercise. And the decision is not made by the IDF or the Home Front Command or the IDF Medical Corps, which is here on the right side of the slide. The IDF Medical Corps, together with the Home Front Command, we always have to be ready. We have to prepare ourselves for the command. We have to prepare ourselves to the order. And the order is made by Ministry of Health, and then Ministry of Defense, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and and the Prime Minister. So we need to wait for a request in this time from Turkey, that they will say, okay, we need you. We will say we can come. And then the Prime Minister has to take the decision, okay, Israel wants to give hand to this disaster. And the only one word that I have to say about that the things that you need in this situation is leadership. Because you have a lot of chaos in this matter of taking the decision and to execute. So each one of the blocks in this slide has to be a leader, has to decide, okay, I have to be ready, 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 I have to be ready. And then when you have the order, you're really ready. So few hours before the order, I was on the airplane already as an assessment team, together with a good friend of mine, Dr. Nehemia Bloomberg. He is an orthopedic surgeon in Ichilov Hospital in Tel Aviv. I did some assessment team before that, also in Turkey in 2016. And in these assessment teams, the idea is to be with boots on the ground and to be very light and flexible and to collect the intelligence, to understand what is the environment in Turkey in this case, what is the environment in the affected area, and to report back what we need. Sometimes we need more surgeons, sometimes we need more nurses, and sometimes we need something totally different. Only manpower or manpower together with the staff, with an equipment and tents. So these are very rough 12 hours of being over there and understand what is the situation and what to report back and what to ask. So that's what I did in the first few hours of the disaster. And there is really a dilemma, because for an earthquake, actually we expect ourselves, we are preparing ourselves to treat more wounded people because they wounded after the earthquake. And we need to be fully independent with tents and not to be a burden on the current country or on the current disaster. Or like we did in the Philippines after the typhoon over there, we worked fully integrated with a local hospital and we treated more sick people than wounded people. Because in a typhoon, or you are dead and sinking under the water, or you are alive and you are sick from something. And this effect on the medical equipment and the medical personnel that we are taking with us. In this time, it was an earthquake, so we looked on the situation like it was in Nepal and Haiti, so that's what we prepared ourselves for. I saw we are really ready. So we are really ready for any scenario. We are ready for scenario of treating refugees. We are ready for scenario of an explosion like we did in Papua New Guinea, and we are ready for a natural disaster like we did many times before. We are working on our readiness by training. And we are doing a lot of trainings every year, one full training of the field hospital and some team training of the field hospital. And we are putting a lot of effort in it. And we are also the first EMT-free, which is the best field hospital in the world, that was classified by the WHO, World Health Organization. And we have very good guiding standards, core standards, and technical standards of how activate and how operate a field hospital in disaster area. What we are most of the time taking with us, and that's what we did also in this situation in Turkey, we're taking emergency room, and inpatient department, and ER, and operating room and an ICU and an imaging department and a lab. So everything that you can think of from a regular hospital, we are taking with us. And it's all in a tent, and it's all with staff from the IDF that is working together with active duty staff and reservist staff that are coming from Israeli hospitals. And that's the way we are working in a disaster zone. In this situation, for this delegation in Turkey, we took ourselves, as you can see, almost 60 doctors and almost 30 nurses. So most of the delegation, out of 142 people in the delegation, was doctor and nurses, and the other were med logistics and laboratory and imaging department and many more. I want to say a few words about what I did as an assessment team. So I arrived into Turkey, and a few hours later, I was going to this hospital. This hospital looks very nice here in the back. From the outside, in the inside, it was a disaster. I was there 48 hours after the earthquake, and the hospital was evacuated because some of the column in the hospital was split into two. So it looks nice, very nice from outside, but inside, no one could stay at. So Turkey decided to evacuate the hospital in full. So it was empty. It was almost with no patients inside. And what I saw outside, as you can see on the right side, the national field hospital, the national Turkish field hospital, started to drill and operate the hospital out of this stone hospital. So this field hospital came from Ankara to this area. It's 5 hours drive with no traffic. It's 10 hours drive with traffic and roads and everything. And they started to build the field hospital outside of this evacuated hospital. So usually it will be the perfect place for the IDF to put the hospital, but there was an hospital over there, so we looked for another place. And we are doing it together with local authorities. We are not by our own. So we went with the Ministry of Health of Turkey together to understand when they need us, where they need us. So the second place I went, as you can see in the short clip, was the University Hospital of Kahramanmaraş. And the thing over there was that all the patients went down from the upper floor to the lower floor, to the ground floor. And in the ground floor, there were many patients waiting for something, waiting for treat. And I went directly to the general manager of the hospital, to the director of the hospital. I was on uniform, as you can see. I went into his office. Everybody stood up. Everybody sat down, say hello. And after that, okay, what do you need from me? I asked him. And he told me, it was 8 o'clock at night. He told me, okay, I need as much personnel as you can give me. I need doctors. These are the things that I need. I need nurses for the ICU, for imaging department. I need nurses for the ER. So he gave me a list of 80 people. I told him, okay, it's now 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, I will be here again. 8 o'clock, the staff will be here. The staff was still in Israel. I was there by my own. So the staff was still in Israel, but I reported back, okay, we need staff. 6 o'clock, I'm in the hospital again. I'm speaking with him. Okay, in 2 hours, the staff will be here. Let me know where you need them. He told me, okay, I don't need them. Something happened during the night. I received 150 people from Istanbul, doctors and nurses and imaging technician. So I don't need any more help. So they are speaking Turkish. They're speaking my language. I don't need someone speaking Hebrew. It will come here to the hospital because I have enough. Very cute cat, Ilana.
Thank you.
So I went to the third hospital, Nesif Fazil. It's not a large hospital. In that hospital, this hospital actually was abandoned. It was closed with no people.
Shai, I think you're covering the speaker. You just got very quiet.
I just started to speak quietly
Oh, better.
to be dramatic.
Okay.
With no people, as you can see, the beds went down from the upper floor to the lower floor, no mattresses on the bed, blood on the floors. In the lab department, there was blood with the date on it, 6 February. And it wasn't abandoned because of the value of the personnel in the hospital. It was abandoned because the staff of the hospital that was at home 6 o'clock on 4 o'clock a.m. So or he died, or he looked for, the doctor looked for his kids, or he went to look for his parents in the city, or he came back to the hospital. And then, as I said before, on 12 o'clock, there was another massive earthquake that shocked the hospital. So there was a decision to close the hospital. And they took all the inpatients from the hospital to other hospitals or to the ground floor. And the request of the manager of the hospital, together with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the Ministry of Health of Turkey, to us was to reopen this hospital. And that's what we did. So, and this is a huge thing this is the first time that we are seeing let's say abandoned hospital, and this is the first time that we are getting asked by the local authorities to reopen an hospital in that circumstances together with the local staff. This is the neighborhood of the hospital, and you can see that one building is up, one building is up, one building is up, and few are down. And this is in the same neighborhood of the hospital. So we started the mission of bringing an entire hospital back to life. Usually we are speaking about one individual that we are saving his life. Here we did it for an entire hospital. And we did it in few steps. First, we were needed to clean and set medical equipment, and then to decide about how we're gonna work in the hospital. It was very different than from Turkey and from Nepal and Haiti. In Nepal and Haiti, let's say we were the owners of the hospital. In the Philippines, we were integrated with a local hospital. But to compare, the manager of the hospital in the Philippines was needed to get from us, from the IDF, a brochure for his car in order to enter the parking lot. In here, Turkey is a big country, they're a strong country. So we need to decide together with the local staff how we're gonna work. We were needed to build the routines, we will need to build trust between ourselves and them. And in the end of the mission, we were needed to decide will end the mission? Who will take responsibility for this hospital? So first we clean and we set medical equipment. And we set together with the local doctors to write and understand what will be the patient flow. So a casualty, a patient coming into the triage, and then he's going to the ER. Who is responsible in the ER? Who is making the last decision? What will happen? Who will give medications? Who will record his file into the medical record? Will it be in Turkish? Will it be in English? Will it be in Hebrew? So a lot of decisions and that we were needed to take in order to work together. And then we sat together with the director general of the hospital, the manager of the hospital. You can see him. You can see him here. He's jumping out of the photo. And I might say something about those with the yellow coats. These are all, try to guess, translators. They are all were volunteers from Turkish Airlines. They left their jobs and came to the disaster area to be translators. And many of them were in the city, some of them in our hospital. Most of the Turkish people, let's say only one of 5 knows English. I know that English is a very strange language. None of them knows Hebrew. It was also very surprising. So we used a lot these translators. And the other thing that I might say about the manager of the hospital, the director of the hospital, and about this meeting. So this meeting was very polite. Okay, we start to work in 1 hour. That's what we're gonna do. And then after, let's say 15 minutes, he said, okay, everybody go out. And we sat there, only me and the other director of our field hospital together with him and a translator. And he told us, okay, I am cautious about your security. We are in a neighborhood that there are 200,000 Syrian refugees that are living here. And you are here on uniform with the flag of Israel. And I'm not sure that I want you to work here in this environment. So it was just an hour before we start working in the hospital. You know, all the team is working and building and cleaning and doing everything. And we told him, you know, we are not here for you, and we are not here for us. We are here for the patient. And when we will see the first patient in the hospital, we will both stand next to him and work together. So Turkish staff together with an Israeli staff, together with the both flags. And it was a thing that the first patient in the hospital was Syrian. And on him was our nurse called Aziz. And Aziz speaks Arabic. The Syrian refugee also speaks Arabic, only Arabic. He doesn't speak Turkish. So Aziz spoke with him in Arabic. It translated to the Israeli staff to Hebrew. It translated to English for the translators. And the translators translate to Turkish for the Turkish staff. So 1 patient, 4 languages. And it was the first patient in the hospital. I have a few more minutes. I want to speak about building routines. So we have a routine in the hospital. Every morning, all the staff in the hospital, 7 o'clock, are coming for a morning brief. We are telling them, okay, today it's Tuesday, 1 day or 5 days after the earthquake. That's what we did yesterday. That's what we're going to do today. So this is something that we are doing every day. We are doing the same with not only with all of the hospital staff. We are doing it with the commanders of the hospital in the smaller groups. So we have routines in the hospital that we are doing every day, even in the disaster area. About building trust, I spoke about how we build trust with the director of the hospital, but it was step by step of sitting together with the director general of the hospital, and not only with him, also in the departments. At first, it was very not easy to work together with, Turkish staff and Israeli staff. But then after 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, they started to speak the same language. And if I'm speaking about the same language, I must stop and say something about this 4-year-old boy that was rescued from the rubble. This boy was rescued from the rubble after almost 150 hours. It's crazy. It's crazy. 150 hours, and he came to our hospital in temperature of 29 Celsius. In 28 Celsius, your heart stopped working. So it was gray. I have no other color to say. And the team, it's a joint team of Israel and Turkey, treat him together like very heroic treatments. And after a few hours, he went to our ICU, and Dr. Ami Mayo, the guy here that holds the tablet. After a few hours of treating this kid, it was something like 1 o'clock at night, he stopped the treatment. The kid was stabilized, and he stopped the treatment, and he started to do a roundup. So to screen the kid from the bottom of his head to his fingers in the legs, and okay, the head is that and that, and we gave him this medication and that medications. His ribs are like that, and he asked the team, okay, do you have something to add? Do you have something? Do you think that we did something wrong with the medications? And each one of the team members, no matter if they were Turkish or Israeli, said their thoughts. And it was something that you can see only in books. A day later, in the morning, the kid was, laughing, eating chocolate in our ICU, and a day later he was released. 2 more things. One, working together and building trust and coordination as a strategy. We work together with the WHO, with local authorities, with Turkish authorities and field hospital, or here in the top left, you can see even Russian hospital. We work together because in disaster area, you cannot work by yourself. You cannot work alone. You have to be a referral or to refer casualties to other hospitals, and you have to work together. And the last thing before we finish is a decision about the end of mission. And I have to say something about it because in this mission, it was very unique. Usually, the IDF field hospital is working in the acute phase of the disaster, and then there is the rehab phase of the disaster, and we are not there. There are other field hospitals who are there in the rehab phase of the disaster. In this time, because we worked shoulder to shoulder in Turkey we were waiting for them to tell us and ask us where they want us to give the, to let them managing the hospital that we worked at by themselves. And they decided, after a few days, they decided that they are strong enough to keep on activating the hospital by themselves. And we set a date for their handover, and we did a handover like a ceremony, and they took control of the hospital, and we understood that this is the right time to leave and to let them control the hospital. 2 days ago, there was another earthquake in the hospital, in the area, 6.7. I remind you, the huge earthquake was 7.8. This was 6.7. It's also very strong. So my team of the hospital started to connect through WhatsApp with the Turkish team that is still there to understand if they are okay and the hospital is still activated and still working. And thanks God, they are still working in the hospital. So if I have to say 5 take-home messages for me or for anyone who is working on readiness, is always be prepared. And only to say, okay, we are good, we will be there if we will be needed, it's not enough. You need really to be prepared, to be trained. And you also have to be ready. And through my little perspective, the disaster is also coming in a time that you are not ready. And it's not, and a time that is not convenience. But you have to be ready to take yourself and go where you are needed. Third thing is that we are not alone. In a disaster area, and not only in the disaster area, you are not alone. You are working together with others, and you need to coordinate with others. And you need to have a large thinking of what you are doing. And the last thing is leadership. And the leadership is not only of the commanders. Leadership is needed in everyone in the chain of this kind of disaster and this kind of activating the field hospital in a disaster area. We brought life to an entire hospital, and we are very, very, very proud. And I want to thank you to thank Steve and Ilana that invited me to speak with you today. So thank you. And I'm ready for questions if there are any.
Thanks so much, Shai.
Yeah, great.
This was incredible. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this presentation for us and making the presentation especially for us.
Wow. Yeah.
We do have some questions. One of them is mine, but Harry asks, do you think there will be a change in government due to the lax enforcement of building codes, etc.?
So if you are asking about, just let me try to understand about how we are working with Turkey governmental, like
Harry, you want to unmute yourself, Harry? Harry.
Yeah, aren't the citizens of Turkey upset because their buildings that they're living in have not met the standard earthquake regulations?
So in one question, in one answer, in one word, yes, they are. But I think, in my perspective, that the government in Turkey are making a lot now for treating the the disaster areas, like the 10 provinces that was affected by the earthquake.
What, honey?
And they are there. I'm not a fan of Erdogan, but in the day that the delegation depart from Israel, he depart from Ankara and came to the disaster area for a tour. And in the situation between Israel and Turkey, it wasn't so easy also. You know that we are not good friends since it was 2011, I think, the Marmara. And it was felt in the beginning, but in the end of mission, 2 days before we came back to Israel, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel came to Ankara for a visit and then to our hospital. In Ankara, he was supposed to meet the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey, but he find out to meet Erdogan, because Erdogan asked to meet the Israeli minister. So we got a lot of honor in the disaster area, not only in Ankara, but also in the disaster area. The Israeli delegation, both search and rescue and field hospital, made great.
Thank you.
The next question, from Harry, is how is Israel able to absorb all of the costs involved in these types of operations?
So this operation is very costly. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's something around, let's say, $5 million, something like that. And it's on Israel. And it's divided between the Office of Prime Minister, the Office of Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the Office of Ministry of Defense. So it's divided, third. But it's all on Israel, so it's nothing from outside.
The next question is from me. I know a lot of us read, like I read in the Times of Israel, about the security threat that forced the Israeli rescue team to leave Turkey, that the foreign ministry denied ever happening. They said there was a concrete and immediate threat on the Israeli delegation.
Okay. I was there for 10 days.
Right.
There was nothing. Everywhere I went to, it was with a security guy, but with a flag of Israel on my uniform. And on uniform, and the field hospital, we opened the field hospital in a local hospital, actually in a neighborhood which is Syrian refugee camp. And we got only smiles and hugs, really. And I heard about those I don't know if it's rumors or something,
I don't know.
but that were really nothing.
That's good to hear.
Actually, the opposite.
That's good to hear.
I must tell you a story. I went to the stadium, the stadium that I showed you before. And let's call him the manager of the stadium, the one who ran the stadium with a tent camp. So he took me to see the medical clinic and where they are giving food to all the people in the tents and where they are giving hot clothes. So it was like an hour together. And I asked him, what you need? And he told me what he needed medical wise. And then I asked him again, and he told me, you know what I need? If I was having a shower, I didn't have one for 7 days. Now I will give you a hug. That's what he told me. And I told me, you know what? I told him I didn't make a shower for 7 days myself, so we can hug. So we got hugged, and he hugged me something like for a minute or two. Like we stood like that for 2 minutes, and this is a guy that I met only 1 hour before. and is totally Turkish, and they wanted us there.
Great. Harry's asking about Israel not being allowed into the area of the earthquake in Syria. Were they not allowed?
No, we didn't ask. They didn't ask. I saw something in one of the websites that if Israel will give donations and food and clothes and blankets to Syria without the flag of Israel, Syria will not say no. But we did enough in Turkey, and we did enough for Syria. And it came out that even in Turkey, we treated a lot of Syrian refugees that ran away from the civil war. So I think we did good without being in Syria.
Robin's asking, where might you recommend to donate directly to help earthquake victims, taking into account avoiding anti-Israel organizations? Oh, we can't hear you, Shai.
I said it's a good question. I will always say, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I will say the WHO, but the WHO, it's the UN. I'm not sure the UN, we want to donate to the UN, so I'm not sure.
I don't think we do. If anyone knows a place that they've donated that they think is a good place to donate, please feel free to put that in the chat.
I don't know. But I would say I was in the airport of Kahramanmaraş. It's one of the provinces of the 10 provinces in Turkey that was affected by the earthquake. And there was tons of equipment waiting to go to the city. And in the city, I was expected to see people are jumping on every bottle of water that is in the city. But there were tons of water and clothes and diapers and food in the city that came from donations, of course. But there were almost no lines, let's say after 5 days, almost no lines waiting for something.
There's a lot of people thanking you for your presentation, and some people giving ideas, donating to Israel Magen David Adom and Zaka. Yeah, because you're donating to Israel since we're the ones who always go to the disaster.
I'm not sure that Mashav, it's Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel. I'm not sure that they are collecting donations, but Mashav, this is the committee in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that's responsible for the international cooperation. They know what to do with donations. They know how to control the donations and divide them to the places that needed.
Great. If anyone else has a question they did not write in the chat but would like to ask it, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Well, Shai, that was a special treat today. It's not usual that we get a firsthand live account of an experience that happened last week that had worldwide ramifications. So thank you very much for bringing us into your orbit and beginning to appreciate the extent of what Israel does on these disasters. That's very informative, and I think it'll help us explain our own actions.
I think we do have Carol has a question. You're muted, Carol, just so you're aware. Yeah, it's still muted. She's trying. Anyone else have a question while Carol's trying? Okay, I guess we'll just, okay. Oh, you did it and then it went back.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm not home and I'm not on my usual computer. Again, Kol HaKavod a million times. You make me so proud. Was there opportunity for any of the volunteers on bases to help prepare either medical equipment or clothing or anything that you have that we can do or could do in the future?
So I'm working with the IDF and donations and volunteers and everything in the IDF, it's central control. You know, it's everything is coming from one place. And I know that donations in the IDF are going directly and only to soldiers. They are not going to needs like be prepared to conflicts or to be prepared to humanitarian missions. So even if I need new, let's say, new tent to the field hospital, the donation will not go to that. Your donations will go, and it's good, directly to soldiers. That's how the IDF works. And this is a military unit, so it works like that. So if it will be, let's say, Magen David Adom or Shiba or another hospital, so you can donate directly to humanitarian missions. But here with us in the IDF, it's directly to soldiers.
Okay.
Shai, can you tell us again about your new assignment, your new mission?
Yeah, my role now, as I said before, I retired from the IDF, so I'm reservist now. In my reservist hat, I am the Chief of Operations of the IDF Field Hospital. This is my hat in the IDF. In my private life, civilian life, that I'm experiencing for 1 month now, almost 2 months. So I'm a new civilian, new, not military guy in Israel. So I am the deputy to the Director General of Asuta Hospital. Asuta Hospital, it's a net of hospitals in Israel, private hospitals, the largest one in Israel, also the good one in Israel. And I'm the deputy to the Director General.
Great. Great.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Shiri, I don't know if you wanted to voice what you wrote, but she spoke about Israel helping the enemies, and do you think these countries will change their vote in the UN after we help them? I highly doubt it, but do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, I have. I hope. And I don't only hope. I think that Turkey will have to change their vote in the UN for Israel. I know that that's what happened with Nepal.
Mm-hmm.
So Nepal started to vote yes for Israel in the UN. And I hope that Turkey will do the same. And I know the diplomatic area, the diplomatic field is not easy. But medical assistance is one of the bridges. Maybe soccer is the second one, I don't know.
And all we have control over is that we did the right thing. And we know that.
Very good.
Any other questions? That's it. Thank you so much, Shai, for like the fifth.
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you, Stephen and Ilana, for the idea of thinking of me.
It's really wonderful,
Right.
really wonderful. And if anyone wants to rewatch it like I do, it'll be up on YouTube in a couple of days.
Great.
Thank you.
Shai,
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
yeah,
Bye-bye.
thanks. Shai, I think this might be your third presentation, maybe?
Third or
Yes.
Third, well, congratulations. We don't award any medals for this, but we definitely
Should.
award our appreciation.
Yeah.
And every one of your presentations have been eye-openers and filled with valuable content and real content, and we really appreciate that. So thank you very much again, in regards to your family. And I hope you acclimate to being back in Israel now from Pennsylvania.
It was a good move.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
And have a great weekend.
Great,
Sounds
thanks, Guy. At this point, we are formally entering into the schmooze content. And the rules of the shmooze are that we have no rules.